Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video we're going to continue with our gouache experiments, and we're going to be using some white watercolor paper and the black watercolor paper, and we're going to use gold and white embossing powder. I'm going to use the gold on the white and use the white on the black. So I'm laying down this large stamp from Simon Says Stamp. It's such a pretty stamp. And since there's that open space on the side, that's where I'm going to put my my magnets, and definitely going to treat our papers, okay? Because you definitely want to make sure that the embossing powder is not sticking anywhere you don't want it to. So use that powder. You can use it. Don't be cheap with it, okay? Put some powder down and make sure to get that static clean away. And since it's watercolor paper, I am going to stamp it twice. Sorry about my light and my misty door there. But I'm just going to ink it up again. And I just wanted to do that at least twice because I had just re-inked my pad. And I just want to make sure I was getting all the areas. And then we're going to grab, I'm using the Brutus Monroe. I want to say it's the Gilded. Yeah, the Gilded Flakes. Hold on. Before I tell you the wrong thing. Gilded Sparkle. That's what it is. Trying to read upside down. And I really like this actual embossing powder. It's very glittery, but when it melts, it's hard to explain. It melts really smooth, and it has a really pretty gold texture. It's not chunky. I don't know if that's a better way to explain it, but I just love it. It's a really pretty gold. And then, of course, just like always, I'm going to ink up on the black, making sure to use the powder, and we're going to heat emboss with the white. And I'm going to stamp this twice too because it's more of a thin outline as well. So the thin outline, I just want to make sure that we're definitely getting enough embossing ink that the powder and everything is going to stick to it. So we're going to sprinkle the alabaster. And making sure we tap all the extra off. And then we're going to heat these up with our heat tool. Always try and preheat the tool. Let it warm up some before you start putting it to the paper, because that will help with the warping as well. And just take your time. I know when I first started embossing, I was so worried because everyone was like, make sure you don't burn it. Don't overheat it. Pretty much all you do is just watch it change, because it's normally like a really dull color, and as you heat it up and it melts, it gets shiny and it gets more vibrant. And as long as you're paying attention to that and not leaving your heat tool in one place for too long, you'll be fine. And you can see by the time I got to this little gold one, the tool was so nice and hot, it took no time for it to melt. All right, so I was really interested in seeing how these colors perform compared to the black paper and the white paper. So once again, we're using the Arteza, or Arteza, tomato, gouache colors. And I'm going to use the same exact colors for both of the styles, okay? And I'm just wetting it up with my water brush. I'm using the Prima one, and when it's not moving or it dries up, I just put a little bit more water down and pull up some more of that color. And if it looks like you're picking up too much water, you can dab a little bit off with a cloth, or depending on how wet your brush, the actual brush tips are, you can sometimes pick some of the water up with it and then move it to another petal, and then try and spread the wealth of the wetness. If you have extra brushes, you can also use one to like kind of sop up some of the water. and then let it dry and go back and add more layers. Because that's the whole thing with watercolors, and I know I say it each time, but it really is true. If you can master the layering of the colors, that's when you get into some really interesting looks. You know, for me, I'm heavy-handed even when I do my color pencils. Like, I put down like dark color right away. So trying to be light-handed and then add more color as you go is something that I'm still trying to learn myself. But that is the key with those. I think that's why I like the wash so much, is for the most part, a lot of them you put them down and the color is rich right away, you know, depending on how wet you get it. So we're just gonna let the music play while I color in this pink, the greens for the leaves and everything, and then the centers. And then I'll come back because I'm going to bring in the black version to show you how those same colors translate on the black watercolor paper. Okay, so here we are with the two completed projects, and these, I love how they both turned out. But I'm gonna tell you, ooh, I almost made a mess right there, but I got it up. I do like how these colors just seem almost velvety on the black watercolor paper. I don't think that either one is more prettier than the other, in the sense that, I mean, they're pretty watercolors, you know what I'm saying? But there's just something about the black, and I think it's just because you don't see the black watercolor paper that much. You really don't. And so having laid hands on it and having these projects, it's also new, and it's really just still exciting seeing how these colors pop off. So I think it was a good experiment. I say, if all you have is the white watercolor paper, no worries, because these perform just as great on the white watercolor paper. You just get a different color warmth, is the only way I can explain it. It's just a rich, there's something about it on the on the black. That's all I can say. But thank you guys for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button, and hit that bell on the side so that way you get notified whenever I upload new content. And definitely leave comments down below. I love reading them, and I definitely try to make sure I respond to each one. So thanks again, you guys, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video.